there. I'm Jonathan Herbst, founder and CEO of Scale Up Growth Partners. Welcome to our Stories of Scaling Up series, where we chat with owners, managing directors, founders, and business leaders of scaling companies. It centres around their entrepreneurial journey so far and their aspirations for their companies going forward. So today I'm talking with Jarrod McGrath, founder and CEO of Smart WFM. Jarrod, welcome.
Thanks, Jonathan. Pleasure to be here and a pleasure to chat with you today.
Looking forward to it. So listen, tell me a bit about you, the business. I think you've got two of them, and what you do and how long you've been doing it for.
Yeah, so my name's Jarrod McGrath. I was born in country New South Wales, born in Bathurst. I have a great passion for cars, especially fast ones, but probably a topic for another day. I am the founder and CEO of a consulting company called Smart WFM, and I'm also an author. And I love to write and I love to give back. And I've got one book called The Digital Workforce, and I'm also just in the process of finishing my second book, The Modern CEO, which is all about leading with a people-centric philosophy.
Great. So tell me a bit about the consultancy.
So the consultancy is a human capital management consultancy. So we consult in and around people, and it's a fascinating space to work in these days, because people are such an important part of an organisation and an organisation's fabric and culture, and organisations are really sort of struggling at the moment to work out how to attract and retain people. So it's a very interesting time in terms of what we do. And so
just dig into that a bit more for me. So how do you help your clients?
So we do two types of consulting with our clients. We do implementation consulting. So we help our clients implement technology. And we also do advisory consulting. So the clients might come to us with how do we get the most out of our people, or they might come to us with a specific problem around, I've got some problems with my onboarding process and I need some help. So it's very much anything to do with that sort of people-oriented consulting, implementation, advisory services.
Okay. So how would you describe your core customer, your best customer?
So our perfect client is a client that wants to work collaboratively with us and not see us as someone that's there to try and do something as cheaply as possible or as quickly as possible. It's a client that actually wants to engage with us, where we can get the right connections with the client at the senior leadership level right through to the coalface, because we can give our clients the best value and they can get the best value from us if we get the right alignment in terms of the engagement that we have with them.
Is there a size? Public, private. Can you give me a bit more there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have two halves to our business. We have an enterprise part of our business, which are large customers. They could be, the likes of a Woolworths or a Coles, large retailers, large governments, departments. And then we have our small to medium enterprise business. So they could be just any size customers from, generally say about 50 employees up to, 2,000 or 3,000 employees. So we work with a broad cross-section of customers, and that's not just here in Australia, but it's also across the globe. The consulting business that I have is a global consulting business.
We've all been through the pandemic. What are some of the actions you took during the pandemic that have stuck with the business going forward?
When I first started Smart WFM, I always built the business on a remote working model. So being what a lot of people these days call or term knowledge workers, our business is predominantly a knowledge worker business. So we have, consultants that provide services to clients. So we could work remotely. So Smart WFM was always founded on a remote or a hybrid or a flexible working model, as a lot of people like to put it these days. So we didn't necessarily have to do that transition when the pandemic first came. But what we did do very early in the pandemic was really take time to communicate with our team, both here in Australia and across the globe, because let's face it, when the pandemic first hit, no one really knew what was going to happen. There was times when I sort of sat back and thought, my goodness, I hope the population of the earth doesn't get wiped out with this terrible pandemic. So I made a decision to start communicating very, very regularly with the team. So every week, in fact, and I have a very open book philosophy, and am very open with what we do and how we go about it, and what our concerns are as a business and where we're going as a business. And that was magnificent right throughout the pandemic. So that openness and that transparency has really been a wonderful thing for us as an organisation, and we've kept that openness and transparency going at the same regularity now that we're coming out of the pandemic, and it's an amazing way to get wonderful engagement and interaction with your team.
Great. So tell me, what does the future look like for you, and what are your main challenges going forward, do you think?
So for Smart WFM, the business at the moment is established in 5 countries. We're in Australia, Philippines, Singapore. We're just expanding into the US, and we're also just expanding into India. So for the business, the future is very, very bright. I see, though, the biggest challenge that sort of exists at the moment is that of globalization. And I know a lot of organisations are sort of saying, look inward with the pandemic and, look after your supply chains and make sure that you've got multiple points of contact and redundancy in those to ensure the business is future-proofed. But I also see that globalisation is still such an important part, especially of knowledge worker type businesses like ours, because we can provide services now to customers all around the globe, which gives us the ability to bring really talented resources, no matter where they're sitting on the globe, to customers to give them value. But also with that comes a lot of challenge around doing business in a global way, because if you do business in a global way, that's what customers expect. And as we start to engage with more and more customers, especially the larger customers, they're now expecting things like cyber security protocols to be in place. And these aren't just things that are tokenistic cyber security protocols. They are really bulletproof and tested cyber security protocols. So as we grow and as we scale, making sure that we're ready for globalisation and being future-proofed to the level that our customers expect and that our staff expect is going to be something that's top of mind for us as an organisation.
Great, thank you. So look, as a business owner, what do you think has been your biggest learning time running your businesses?
So I think 2 things. One is, I think that you have to give your knowledge as a leader, as a founder, as a CEO. The way I've done that, of course, is through my writing, through my authoring, through my thought leadership. And I just feel that it's a wonderful way to be able to give back, because generally people that are CEOs of organisations or founders have a wealth of knowledge in their particular industries, and it's a wonderful way to be able to give back to others in the industry as well. For my team, it's a way that they can actually see what a career path looks like inside of our organisation, and for our customers, it's a great way for them to understand what they can actually do, or the types of services and the value that they can get from our organisation. So that's probably the first thing, is just giving back. And then the second thing that I've found is that growth is such an important thing. Like, if we're going to give people career paths in our organisation and we want to remain an employer of choice, we have to grow, and we have to grow like crazy, because that's the best way for me to stay at the pointy end of where the market is going. And it's the best way for us to be able to give career paths and career pathways and skills to the people that work in the organisation.
Fabulous. When you think of the word successful, who pops to mind first, and tell me why?
I'll probably give you an answer that you're perhaps not expecting. Dave Grohl pops to mind straight away. So Dave Grohl is the lead singer of the international band called the Foo Fighters.
All right.
And I'm a mad music fan, and I see what Dave Grohl has done with that band over the years. And at the end of the day, he's the CEO of Foo Fighters Incorporated, and he's transitioned that band through all sorts of different genres and all sorts of different challenges with life. And I just see that someone that continues to still push out the most wonderful music through good times and bad. And I think he's a great role model in terms of being able to just move forward and roll with life as life gets thrown at you.
Great answer. I mean, it's interesting. This is actually my favourite question over time. We have had everybody from Dave Grohl through to Tom Cruise, similar type story. Multiple franchises employing thousands of people, through to brothers, mothers, grandmothers, through to the Elon Musk. It's really it's a fascinating question. It's worth going back through the videos to not only and a number of other people I've interviewed are talking about different versions of success, personal success. It's really worth going back and having a look at the interviews.
I agree, Jonathan. Like, it's because I'm doing a number of interviews as well myself for my current book, The Modern CEO, at the moment as well. And again, there's a lot of variability in the feedback that comes. But the other thing that I consistently find in the people that I speak to as well is that family always has such an important underpinning of the success of a person.
Yeah. So, and that's certainly one of mine. I was blessed to have my wife and I adopted children, and so I've got 2 8-year-olds. And my thing of success is very much centered around them and my family. So
funny you should say that. I'm adopted as well. So
really?
So I sort of had 2 sets of parents in a funny sort of a way. So I have my biological parents and I have my adopted parents, and both of them, although I didn't get to meet all of them, but both of them were just so pivotal in my life for such different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. My children are from Ethiopia.
Right.
They've changed my life. As a 62-year-old this year, I've been coaching their under 8s rugby team. It's totally changed many of the my views of success. Okay, so
beautiful.
Last two questions for you. Are you a reader? And if so, books, podcasts, biographies of leaders you might recommend?
I was never a reader at school. I only really started reading, and my only real life education sort of started, academic life education really only started since I left school. And now, being a writer, I read all the time. I have to read to stay current. So I picked out a few different things here that I thought I'd just flash in front of you and show you.
Please.
So magazines, business-wise, I like to read Harvard Business Review. I find that the stuff that Harvard Business Review does is quite amazing.
I'm just looking for my pile of them over here.
Yeah. I've always got, a few different books in front of me as well. So, at the moment I've got Think Like a Monk, Jay Shetty, a book called Talent Wins, which is another HBR book, which is all about people and the importance in the organisation. And I've just got one here by the name of Jacob Morgan as well, called The Future Leader.
Yeah.
And then in terms of sort of non-business books, I sort of drive my life by the principles of Eddie Jaku, the happiest man on the earth. And if I sort of read what's written on the back of it, it's life can be beautiful if you make it beautiful. It is up to you.
Yep. Fabulous. Any podcasts you listen to?
I don't have any specific ones that come to mind, but I'm always listening to sort of YouTube or, if I go and interview someone, for example, I'll look for podcasts that they've done. If I'm writing on certain topics on the book, I'll listen to as much content as I can. So I'm very sort of targeted in terms of what I'm looking for and when I go and find it.
Great. And Jarrod, last question. Is there any last piece of advice or parting words you'd give to a CEO listening to this or an aspiring CEO?
Yeah, I would. Just be yourself, right? Don't be anyone that you're not, because if you're not yourself, you'll find yourself in a situation where you're not yourself and then you're not going to know what to do or how to act. So that's probably the most important thing that I'd say. And the other thing I'd say as well is, CEOs come in all shapes and sizes. And there's a lot of people out there, whether they're CEOs or not CEOs, that always have a view and have an opinion. And often the ones with the loudest voice bubble up to the surface because it's a sort of a fact of life almost. But you don't have to be swayed, or you don't have to be influenced by those people that necessarily have the loudest voice. And I think both points are sort of related to each other. But yeah, be human, be yourself, and just, be there for the right reasons.
Great advice. Jarrod, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jonathan. That was a pleasure chatting to you.
I enjoyed it enormously. Thank you.